I think recently, to say that kids movies have been on a decline, not in quantity but in quality, would be a more than fair statement. I mean, don't get me wrong, a child probably doesn't care if the story isn't very engaging or the characters lack depth, because as long as it's colourful, funny, and has cool action, they'll be hooked. But still, when you've grown up with certain studios or characters, and you've seen how they've just become either a woke spreading shit show, or how they've massacred a once beloved set of characters, you just can't help but get frustrated. And if you're a sane human being, you would never want your child to be consuming media that includes certain messages that they're just way too young to even be thinking about. I guess I perfectly described Disney. But anyway, the film I'm talking about today is not a Disney film, thank God, and instead a sequel to possibly the best animated franchise of all time. The best animated franchise of all time. And if you disagree, well, you're gonna regret it. So, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is of course the sequel to 2011's Puss in Boots, and revolves around the man himself, or should I say cat himself, who in the film has only one of his 9 lives left. And so, he sets out on a journey for the mystical last wish, which can only be found using a magic map, in order to get his 9 lives back and, retain his mojo. He's not alone, however, and he's joined by Kitty Softpaws and his new dog friend, who face off against other greedy menaces in the process, one of which he's especially not fond of. Now, as I referenced in the intro, there is a fear that with any new film, it's going to be stuffed with bad writing, unlikable new characters, and a lot of, let's just say, messages, which the majority of people don't want to see in something that they're just trying to enjoy. But I'm so glad that this film is none of that, and although it's primarily made for kids, anyone can watch this movie and will have a great time. It's a brilliant example of what a movie can be if you stay true to the core of the character, put your target audience first, and keep the story simple but unique. The concept is literally that Puss has 1 life left, he wants all 9 back, because cats have 9 lives, and he needs to find this magic star to make his wish to get his 9 lives back. Simple. And once they have this established, they can really have fun with it. They begin to introduce new characters and plot lines, which add an extra layer to Puss's journey, and in the film, he struggles to come to terms with the fact that he can't always be the fearless fighter that he thinks he is. In the first act, he's joined in a bar by a secret, let's just say, admirer of his, who really makes his hair stand on end, and who throughout the film continues to toy and silently stalk Puss as he goes about his journey. I'm of course talking about the big bad wolf, the most fearsome antagonist of the film, who makes his presence known from the moment he steps on screen. He's been watching Puss for some time now, and knowing that the guy only has 1 life remaining, he sees this as his chance to put him to an end. He's the first enemy to strike genuine fear into Puss, and now that Puss is aware of just how scared he can be, he's unable to maintain his natural charm and aura at all times, poking holes in his confidence to get the job done. Wolf is a frightening addition to the film, and whenever you hear his whistle to make his presence known, you're guaranteed to feel your nerves tingle. Now, because of Wolf, Puss feels more human in this film than ever before, and it really allows the audience to establish a connection with him while he's not as invincible as he thinks he is. And you really consider that he might get hurt at some point. Puss has a bit of an identity crisis after his first confrontation with Wolf, and after presuming that his old identity as the Puss in Boots is no longer alive, he's taken in by an elderly woman whose house is full of other cats, and this is where he comes across his new pal, who doesn't have a name yet, but is a dog dressed as a cat, and who turns into one of the best things about this movie. I'll just call him the dog, brings positivity at all times while he's on screen. Our main protagonist tries to remain serious and use combat to get through any situation, but he makes his presence known by basically just not keeping his mouth shut and trying to do everything as peacefully as possible, and in doing so, and though Puss won't admit it, he's glad to have a new friend in his life. The character is just hilarious, and there's times where characters are insulting each other, for example, and Dog is just in the middle of it all, and it just makes for some great scenes that genuinely made me smile, laugh, and just feel like a kid again. Kitty Softpaws is also great in the film, joining Puss and Dog on the journey, and having had a romantic past with Puss, it also makes for an interesting dynamic where Puss feels guilt for not taking the relationship further, while Kitty throws fun at him for being too in love with himself, and their relationship gradually takes fruition again as the film progresses. Anyway, also looking for the last wish is our good old friend Jack Horner, the now head of a pie factory, who goes after Puss in Boots after the map to the last wish is stolen from him. Now, I guess you could call him pretty generic, being the overweight, egotistical and unthoughtful guy that he is, but he's also got a backstory and understandable motivations, and while he looks like the average modern day feminist, he's the unlikable and laughable character that this film needs, bringing in just downright silliness to balance out the serious tones that the other characters provide. Now, the new additions to this film are a complete joy, to be honest. I mean, with as many characters as there is, they did an incredible job at not making the film feel bloated or rushed. They gave enough time to other characters for them to shine, while also keeping Puss in Boots at the forefront. Specifically Goldilocks, she has a really great arc in this film, and was actually one of my favourites. We know her backstory, of course, but they bring it back and utilise it in a really genius way that makes it feel as if it's brand new. And her and the three bears have really great chemistry as a family. They chose literally the perfect voice actors for every role, and there's some recognisable ones in there if you're not aware of them prior to watching it, which will pleasantly surprise you. Now, as I said before, it's a simple but well executed story where there's genuine stakes for each and every character, and like Puss, no character feels invincible or emotionless, and by the end of the film, every single person has a satisfying arc, each being just super wholesome. There's also messages to be taken away which are genuinely good for children, like spreading positivity, accepting that no one's perfect, and that one life is enough, and that you should live it to the fullest. I must say, it felt truly refreshing and nostalgic to see such a beloved character return with exactly the same flaws, charm, and charisma that he had over 10 years ago. In this modern age, this film could have easily turned out very differently, especially under the hands of other writers, but fortunately, DreamWorks seems to just never let us down. At least sometimes anyway. And they've created a surprisingly good sequel spin-off to the best animated franchise of all time, obviously. So, thank you for tuning into the review. Now, bro, just go outside, get some sunlight for once, just for once. God damn it. Bye.